dangerous drugs, car crash cases, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys of Hollis, Wright & Couch are here to serve you. With civil trial lawyer Josh Wright from the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch and Alabama's 13 host David Lamb, the attorneys answer your tough legal questions straight ahead.
And a good Sunday evening to you. Thanks so much for joining us for the attorneys. Tonight, your opportunity to get your tough legal questions answered. All you have to do is just follow the information that's going to be throughout the program on the bottom of the screen. Ways for you to call, text, or email us. We would absolutely love to hear from you and to actually present your questions to our panel of experts, led tonight by Steve Couch of the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch. Good to see you, sir.
Great to be here, David. You know, it's been a few weeks since I sat in this chair. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
You as well. And our topic tonight, again, one that certainly affects a great many people.
It does. Well, if you have the opportunity to live that long. There is a statistic out there right now, David, that says something like the first 70 million baby boomers turned 65 last year and this year. And I'm certainly not saying 65 is elderly by any stretch of the imagination. The closer I get to that age, the further elderly is off. But my point is this topic that we're talking about tonight, and I'm so glad we're doing it, it touches and concerns basically everybody or somebody they know. And if you're lucky enough to live long enough, you're going to have to consider some of the things we're talking about tonight. Most people either voluntarily or through no choice of their own have to get into some type of assisted living or nursing home situation.
Well, introduce us to our guest.
Great. I'm lucky enough to have Barry Walker on with us tonight. He is a very accomplished lawyer, and he does a lot of this nursing home litigation. And he works with me. We share information, and he's just a very accomplished lawyer in this area. And thank you so much for coming on, Barry.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah,
appreciate the time tonight, and we always like to start things off, Barry, with an overview of tonight's topic relative to just kind of how our state is doing. How is the state of Alabama in terms of taking care of the elderly by way of nursing homes?
Well, in that respect, I don't think our state is different from any other state. We're failing. And most states are failing when it comes to regulating these nursing homes and making sure that the seniors that they're entrusted to care for are not neglected or not abused or injured. And more troubling than anything else, oftentimes when the neglect or the abuse occurs, it's being covered up. And so our state only has a finite amount of money and resources like our federal government, but nevertheless, we've got to do a better job of policing these nursing facilities and making sure that they're taking care of our loved ones the way we've entrusted them to.
Well, if the state is not doing the job adequately, then it really puts more pressure on the family to make sure that that their loved one is taken care of, I guess.
Absolutely, and I know Steve would agree with this, and I always tell my clients, my family, friends, and acquaintances the same thing. If you commit to putting a loved one in a nursing home, you need to be up there every other day, if not every day, and don't always go at the same time. You need to monitor the facility and make sure that your loved one is getting care, the same level of care at different times of the day. Right. And even in the middle of the night, not that I would expect someone to do that all the time, go up there and see what kind of care your loved one is getting.
Yeah, let me expand on that. When Barry said we're failing like other states, I mean, that's no joke. In fact, I think AARP put together a study along with other organizations. It was got like a long-term scorecard that ranks quality of care of assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and nursing homes. And Alabama ranked dead last. 50 out of 50 is where we fell on that scale.
Right.
And so it's no joke when he says that. So I mean, and he's also right too in that the state is limited in terms of dollars that are used to monitor police nursing homes. So where it falls to, unfortunately, is the families. You got to get up there and be proactive in their care, making sure they're being taken care of. Moreover, because the state's limited funds, lawyers like Barry and taking cases, hopefully, you get a verdict or some type of other judgment that will hopefully let other nursing homes and companies who run them know that people in communities who house these nursing homes and assisted living facilities, they can do something to affect the standard of care in their own community.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. You just really got to be proactive. And first of all, be proactive in choosing a nursing home and ask difficult questions and understand the structure of that nursing home and the chain of command and who you need to see if your question isn't satisfied at one level of that facility. Just go up that chain of command until your questions are answered and you're satisfied with the answer.
We love questions here, and we're looking forward to yours as well. Call, text, or email those questions into us already. We have quite a few, but look forward to hearing from you and getting your question. Our first question from a viewer tonight: I took my mother to 3 different nursing homes and no one would take her without me signing an arbitration agreement. Tell me why they require that and just kind of what is it all about?
Well, Steve, I'd be happy to discuss arbitration agreements. They're a very bad thing that's unfortunately encouraged by our federal government, and binding arbitration is where if there's a dispute or injury to a loved one in a nursing home, rather than that dispute being heard by a jury of that person's peers, is sent to arbitration where it's heard by lawyers. And so it's not a community of peers that's listening to what's happening, but rather one arbitrator or an arbitration panel. Is done in secret. The arbitration contract is drafted by the nursing facility. The arbitrators are paid by the nursing home. So I like to call arbitration a rigged system where the deck is stacked against the plaintiff, and we're fighting vigorously, lawyers like Steve and I, every day to overturn the arbitration system because it robs you of your 7th Amendment right to trial by jury. And because it's set up by these corporations, it's a very difficult and onerous process to go through, and very expensive.
In dealing with arbitration, whether it's nursing home or any other business transaction, I usually tell people, well, you know, when you're entering into that contract, if you see it, ask them, what is this? Why is this in here? You know, try to X through it. I do it. I X through it and I initial it. And if they won't still go through with the transaction, I try to go somewhere else. Some people may want to do that. Some people may not. But my point is, I tell people, try to X through that and see if they'll go through with the transaction. Because look, I'm not saying something will go wrong, but if it does, I would much rather have, and I think the community should have a say-so in what the standards are for health care versus an arbitrator who may be out of Atlanta or wherever, one guy or 3 guys who have nothing to do. They don't live in the community or anything else.
A question here from a viewer. Has a parent, an elderly parent in a nursing home, has gone to the person in charge, not pleased with what they are doing in their response. Do they have any other options?
Like I alluded to earlier, go up the chain of command. Everyone has a supervisor or a boss, and so the final say does not necessarily rest with even the nursing home administrator. Under Alabama law, nursing homes are required to have a governing body which is directly responsible for everything that transpires in that nursing home, and the governing body is over the administrator of that nursing home. So if you aren't satisfied at that level, find out who's on the governing body, and in fact find out who's on that governing body before you admit your loved one to that nursing home. Find out who owns the nursing home and who you can hold accountable and who you can ask questions of in the event, and we don't want anything to, but in the event that something does happen.
Agreed.
All right. Another question from our viewers. I can't be at the nursing home all the time. You were talking, Barry, about being there as often as you can. If I think my dad is not being treated right, what should I be looking for? Are there red flags and warning signs?
Well, I'll start this, Barry.
Sure.
You know, in my experience, you know, there are some telltale signs that abuse and neglect might be obvious. For example, you know, some people can look and come in and see their loved one, and it may have been some time, and they may, you know, be lethargic, not moving. They could see signs of dehydration. I think if somebody's not getting enough to eat or drink, that, in my opinion anyway, is neglect or abuse. Moreover, you can look at bed sores. You got to look for things like unexplained falls. Are they in restraints? Because they're not supposed to be unless a doctor ordered it. But there's a whole host of things that you can see. Usually, you know, abuse is one of those things, and neglect is one of those things that when it manifests itself on your body, it's one of those things, you know it when you see it.
Right.
You got anything to add to that?
And just to piggyback on that, if you're going to see mama or daddy every day, you know what their habits are. You know how they normally act. If you see any change, you need to be on notice and be vigilant about that. Because it could be they're not giving them their medicine. We see that all the time. They're prescribed medication and they don't get it, and their behavior changes. So just be vigilant and go up there.
All right, it's time for our first break of the evening. As we head to break, a reminder, we'd love to hear from you. 2 more segments left to go on the attorneys tonight. You can call, text, or email us. Also, a reminder, you can find the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch. Search that term on Facebook, also on Twitter as well, at Hollis_Wright. Stay tuned, more of your questions coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch, and thanks for watching The Attorneys on Alabama's 13. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never need legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple. Provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to this show or related to other civil legal matters, call, email, or text us to talk with one of our lawyers. You can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter to learn about important legal news that could affect you or your family. Or simply contact us by going to alabamas13.com and click on the Attorneys link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and for watching The Attorneys right here on Alabama's 13.
Defective.
Welcome back into the attorneys. 2 full segments left to go, so plenty of time for you to get in touch with us. You can call, text, or email us. That information will be on our screen throughout the evening. A question that we have gotten, I'm going to present it to our panel of experts. If I need to file a complaint against my mother's nursing home, who do I file with?
Well, I think that, well, certainly you can go see a lawyer about it, and lawyers who are experienced in nursing home cases will tell you the right agencies to go to.
That's right.
My recollection, very correct me if I'm wrong, but the facility is supposed to post, are they not, the lists of the state departments of the state of Alabama, such as the State Survey Department and other advocacy groups, are supposed to list those things at the facility itself, along with telephone numbers that they can get in touch with.
That's correct. Most notably, the Alabama Department of Health is the entity that readily comes to my mind. The nursing home facility itself, believe it or not, is supposed to have a committee to hear complaints and discrepancies. I would not start there. That would be what I consider to be a rigged system too. But start with the Alabama Department of Health. If they can't satisfy your questions, like Steve said, start with a lawyer. And that lawyer, at no cost to you, should be able to assist you and direct you to those entities that could best help you if they aren't able to help you.
Yeah, and I'd say too that to the extent you're able to, try to put your complaints in writing. I'm always surprised at whenever I handle nursing home cases, Barry, you've probably seen this with yours, we haven't gotten any complaints for the last 9 months or a year. I find that hard to believe when you're sitting there talking to residents and other folks who have worked in that particular facility or any of them. I think that a lot of the complaints come verbally and they're never written down or recorded, or they're misplaced, et cetera. And look, David, I'm not meaning to sound, and neither is Barry, we're not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. This is based on what we've seen happen. My wife often tells me, you're not a glass half full or a glass half empty guy. Rather, you're a guy who says, who the devil drank my water? I'm not meaning to sound like a conspiracy theorist at all, but this is, I think, the way we're answering these questions and the advice we're given is a response to just, candidly, I'm shocked many of the times when I get into these cases at the sheer neglect that can happen at a facility when somebody's not there monitoring, when family who may live out of state, they can't get by as often as they'd like to, and just the sheer neglect that happens. And it doesn't happen in all of them, but it certainly does happen.
Right. And one thing I always try and emphasize is the fact that you have good people working in these facilities. The nurses, the CNAs, they're good people, but these facilities are big corporations. They don't want us to know that, but they're run by big corporations. These facilities are not adequately staffed. They don't have the proper ratio of healthcare provider to patient. They don't have the proper supplies because they're making a business decision to not do what they should. I think if they followed the golden rule and staffed appropriately, the facilities would be full and they continue to make money. And so we're not coming down on individuals necessarily that work in these places. It's the corporate culture of these places that bothers me greatly.
I'd agree with that.
You were talking earlier about the oversight of a nursing home and a board that actually is over the staff. A question here from a viewer asked the administrator who is it that owns the nursing home, and they could not tell me. Should she know who owns the facility, especially if it's the administrator?
Well, it would never be the administrator, and as Steve and I know from personal experience, that's a very complex question. What we've run into in the past 7, 8 to 10 years in our practices is a shell game, a conglomeration of corporations set up to really shield who truly owns these corporations, and it's very troubling. But nevertheless, I would start with that governing body of the facility, because under Alabama law, they're directly responsible, and find out who they work for. And they should be able to tell you that. And what Steve and I have found in many instances is they don't want to divulge that information, but that's where I would start, Steve.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, if the administrator won't tell you who owns it, that would shock me if she doesn't know. I certainly have seen those situations
Right.
where they wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
And kind of piggybacking off what Barry said, I think the reason that, you see the facility and it's its own corporate entity, and I'm not going to get into legalese here, but, that facility may be controlled by another corporation who's set up over in Delaware, and it's got an administrative service agreement with another PC or LLC somewhere else. The point being that what we've uncovered over the last several years is that the people on the ground, if you will, there are very limited resources when you get into a situation, litigation, that, these people may have $25,000 or so in liability insurance available to them. Well, if what they've done or contributed to kills your friend, family member, or a resident there, $25,000, at least in my opinion, I think everybody's life is worth more than that.
Right.
But in order to get to the corporate entities who really own it, it takes a lot of legwork. So
it really does.
If they need an answer, I guess they could certainly go ask a lawyer who's experienced, and,
Right.
and they could probably tell them in a straightforward manner who does.
Another question from a viewer here about a doctor. It sounds like the parent was injured and needed treatment in a nursing home. The child was told that they must use the doctor that they referred to, the nursing home referred to. Is that true? Can they not take their loved one to any doctor they want to?
Go ahead.
Absolutely they can. Another troubling trend in all of these facilities, and Steve's trying to be very diplomatic, but I'll just get to the heart of the matter. One thing we're finding is that when you enter these facilities, they have a medical director and an attending physician, and they present it to you in such a way as that you have no choice but to let their medical director, who's simultaneously the attending physician, care for your loved one. But you have your choice about who you want to be treated by in the facility. You can ask your doctor to come in and treat you. You don't have to be treated by their doctor. Now, that means more money for the big corporation up the chain if you use their guy, but you certainly don't have to, and you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, every resident, whether they be in a nursing home or a skilled nursing facility, assisted nursing facility, they have patient rights. These are federally mandated patient. It's a laundry list of rights. You've got the right to be free from abuse, neglect. You've got the right to be treated with dignity. One of the rights, many that are on there, is that you've got the right to select your own physician and pharmacy. However, like Barry said, Some of these corporations that actually own the nursing home, they may have a sister corporation that owns or starts, for example, a pharmacy. So if the pharmacy is the exclusive dealer for everybody in that nursing home, he's right. That's just kind of more money that goes to it. But the answer to the question is no. You've got the right to select your own physician and pharmacy. So
That's right.
I agree with Barry on that.
All right, time to take our final break of the evening. As we head to break, a reminder, we still would love to hear from you. Time to get your question. You can call that in to us, text it to us, or email us. Also, find the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch on Facebook. Search Hollis, Wright & Couch, and on Twitter, Hollis_Wright. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
From all of us at Hollis, Wright & Couch, we're proud to team up once again with Alabama's 13 to present the attorneys each Sunday night. Our goal is simple: to answer your tough questions and provide legal support when you need it most. Remember, you can call, text, or email us your legal questions anytime. This week's topic relates to nursing homes and how to ensure your loved ones get the care they deserve. Here are a few facts you need to know. Nursing homes are regulated and inspected by both the state and federal governments. That doesn't mean, however, that nursing homes are free from problems. To check out a nursing home, visit Medicare.gov and click on the Nursing Home Compare tab. Nursing homes provide different types of care. For example, some have separate Alzheimer's units. Others provide things like ventilators. You need to ask your loved one's doctor for recommendations to make sure their needs are covered. Always watch for signs of abuse or neglect, including bed sores, pressure ulcers, significant weight loss, dehydration, broken bones, frequent accidents, unexplained bruises, untreated and repeated infections, falls, or the presence of unjustified chemical or physical restraints. Finally, if you suspect abuse or neglect, preserve all evidence immediately. That means taking photographs of any injuries, especially anything that may demonstrate the declining health of your friend or family member. If you have any ideas for future shows, please let us know. Also remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis, Wright & Couch want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. While we can't guarantee that every question will be presented live on the show, we do guarantee that every question will be answered by a competent lawyer. Thanks again for watching The Attorneys on Alabama's 13.
Our final segment here, just a few minutes left, so let's get right back to the questions for our panel of experts. A question here: my mother fell at a nursing home. Nobody will meet with me about how the fall happened. Do they have to meet with me?
Absolutely. Pursuant to state regulations and federal law, every resident has a care plan, and when something causes a change in condition like this would be, or some acute trauma occurs or an injury, there's a committee there at that facility, and they should reach out to the resident's sponsor, to the daughter or son. They shouldn't have to go and inquire to the nursing home about what happened. What happened should be investigated, written up. They should meet with the appropriate people in that facility and be aware of what happened for the purpose of preventing it from happening again, to provide proper care for the resident. And if that isn't happening in that particular facility we're speaking of, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's one of those resident rights. They've got the right to be notified, be it the resident or the representative of the resident or concerned family member. So yeah, they should be meeting with this person. I don't know if they're their power attorney, but candidly, it wouldn't really matter as long as they're a concerned family member. And like Barry said, moreover, if there's an injury as a result of this fall, and the medical care for the loved one, the family member, changes in a moving forward manner, I'd say that person or the representative has a right to be present at the care plan meeting. Anytime a care plan for a person changes, if their medical care changes, they've got a right to be in this meeting, a team of people to talk about and be involved with the care on a moving forward basis of any resident.
All right. I think the final question we're going to be able to get to tonight, my dad's nursing home says that his bed sores were unpreventable. Is this the case, or are some bed sores an unavoidable part of living in a nursing home?
Well, Steve, you want
I was just going to say, are they unavoidable? Well, I'd say no, not according to Medicare. In fact, Medicare, was it last year or year before, they stopped paying for that. They stopped paying for caring for those types of wounds. Why? Because they are preventable. Bed sores and ulcers, pressure ulcers, are a result of a person not getting the skin care that they're supposed to get while they're there. And that's so I would say, yeah, if they're getting the care they deserve, they absolutely are preventable.
And you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely do agree with Steve on that issue.
Okay, all right. Let's get our final comments. Just kind of a final thought from you, you guys, about tonight's topic.
Well, I like to commend Steve and his firm for educating the public on a very important issue. This is a moral issue to me. Our seniors and people like our kids who can't defend themselves deserve better. And so it's very important for us as citizens and for loved ones of these people to be diligent in making sure that they're properly cared for, to hold these facilities accountable. Unfortunately, these arbitration clauses are everywhere. You can't go anywhere and not really be almost forced into signing an arbitration clause, but we as the public can change that. So I'm appealing to everyone, stop signing these arbitration clauses.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. If anybody who thinks that this particular topic doesn't concern them, they're wrong. Eventually it will, either directly or indirectly through a family member. And like I said at the top of the show, if we're all lucky enough to live that long, this is something that you may not end up in a facility, but it's an area that you're going to have to consider as you get older and older and older.
Yeah, those who have done such a great job of taking care of us, we need to be sure that we take care of them.
Absolutely.
With just the equal amount of care. Thanks so much for both of you being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate the time. I want to thank you as well for your time this evening. Just want to remind you as we head out, some ways for you to continue to communicate with the firm of Hollis, Wright & Couch. You can still call, text, email them there, your questions. They'd love to hear from you. Find them on Facebook. Just search Hollis, Wright & Couch, and on Twitter, Hollis_Wright. We'll see you next week, everybody.